Hey everybody, hope you're well. Let me take the opportunity now to say Happy New Year. I know I'm a little bit late. I'm about a week past the new year, but this is the first video that I've done for the channel since New Year, so Happy New Year. Last year I did a location shoot for FP Guyver & Son. They are funeral directors with offices in Southend, Rochford and Eastwood in Essex. We went on location and naturally we were in a cemetery, but we were looking to achieve almost like a cover or a header shot or header photo for the website. And I've decided what I'll do is I will break down one of those photos because contrary to popular belief, you don't have to pack your boot or the boot of your car, whatever vehicle you've got, with a load of kit. I shot this photograph using just one light. So aside from the natural light, of course, what I used was simply this. One single flash head, and that was it. The lens I used, so now I shoot Nikon. My camera is a D750, and this was the lens that I chose to use. I only have two lenses. I have a 50mm prime lens, which tends to be my go-to lens more often than not. But I also have this in my bag. It's the 24-120. So this is the lens that I chose to use on this particular shoot because I didn't know at the time how wide I was going to go. So I ended up shooting at a 55mm. I'll go into the other settings a little bit later on. But first of all, what I would like to do is just talk through the actual photograph itself. So let's start first of all with the composition of the shot. Now you can see in the bottom left and right hand corner I've got the yellow lines and the curves that lead into the photograph. So they're my leading lines. That's going to drive people's eye into the photograph so we see everything that I would like them to see. And then we move into the subjects themselves. So you've got I don't really know what they call the guy at the front. If anybody knows, leave a comment, let me know. I genuinely don't know what the title of that chap is. But if you look at the vehicles themselves, I've had them staggered. So car number one behind the lead person. Car number two is half a car width behind to the camera left of the first car, and camera three the same distance, the same separation between vehicle two. And the reason why I've done that and not had them line up directly behind each other, now I want to give the illusion that they are behind one another, and I've achieved that by offsetting vehicle 2 from 1 and 3 from 2. So if I had those in a direct line, what it would have done, it would have looked like car 2 was going into the boot of car 1 and car 3 into the boot of car 2. And it just would have looked odd. Just by simply offsetting vehicle 2 from 1 and 3 from 2, it gives the illusion that they are behind or in a line behind one another, which is what you're going for. So right, let's bring it back to the focal point. The guy at the front, he was, like I say, he was lit with a single flash. Now it was an exposed flash. I didn't have a diffuser on it. I didn't use an umbrella to bounce light off of. It was literally, I just pointed the flash at the subject and threw light onto him. And if you look at the photograph itself, you can see that he's slightly more lit to his left, so camera right, than he is to the opposite side. And that's because the flash was situated just outside of the frame as you look at the photograph to the right hand side, so camera right, it's positioned simply just off of the frame. And all I've done is I've just triggered it and thrown the light onto him, onto the subject, to light him, to make him pop, make him stand out from the photograph. So if I bring up the original in-camera raw photograph, so you can see, and I'll show you the difference. I'll go through the editing process that I went through. But if I first of all, if I just show you the original in-camera photo, and then we can compare the two. And there wasn't a great deal of editing, just some minor touches. Obviously, I tidied up some debris from the road and on the grass verges. But other than that, the steps were very, very simple. Not a lot of post processing here, not a lot of editing, just some minor tweaks as I run down in Lightroom, just run down the editing panel. So let's now have a look at the edits that I did. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom. This is our final image, and if we look down the right hand column here, I'm just going to go through literally through the basic shots or basic edits that I did. So look, temperature and tint. These are just the basic elements. I've just increased the exposure ever so slightly. Now I'm all for contrast. I love a bit of contrast, so I've increased the contrast there as well. Dropping the highlights, because if you look in if we go back to the in-camera or the back of camera, straight from camera shot, you can see that the sky was quite blown out. It was overexposed, so just drop those highlights just to draw back some of the sky there. Clarity, I don't know why, but I always adjust my clarity to +10. I do it for every shot. That is probably the one consistency with all of my photographs. I will always boost the clarity +10. I've no idea why. I think I did it a couple of times, I liked it, and I've just done it ever since. So there it is. Let's run through the colours. So the reds, I've increased the luminance there, left the oranges, yellows, greens alone, cyans, blues, purples and reds all alone. So I've just increased the luminance of the red slightly. You can see some red here in this tree, part of the berries in that tree behind. Never touched a split toning, didn't touch detail. That is all as was default. I didn't touch that. I always remove the chromatic aberration and enable the profile corrections. Always do that, especially if I'm using the 24 to 120, because it will bow towards the edges of the frame. So I'll always select those, and it just flattens out the photo. So I like that. Through a little bit of a vignette here, you can see it's 28. You can see here that there's a slight vignette going on, and at the top there, if you look, if I point it out, it's probably quite obvious, but to look at it, some of you may have guessed there was a slight vignette, but I think I'm willing to bet that some of you didn't realise either, but there is a vignette on there as well, and that is it. They were the only edits that I did in Lightroom, and as I say, I did clone some of the debris from the road. I tidied up the curb a little bit here and some of the grass verge, just to take some of those, but it wasn't a great deal of editing. Always try to get the photograph right in camera. It will save you so much time in post. I mentioned about the cameras or the camera settings. So if we come back up to the top here, you can see the ISO was at 100, shot at 55mm, f8 at 1/25th of a second. That were my camera settings, and with the light thrown in there as well. So folks, there you go. Look, it just goes to show that you don't need a bootload of kit in order to get a good final image. That was lit using the daylight, no, natural light with a single flash head, off camera obviously, but it's achievable. It is achievable. Would we want a mass production, lights everywhere, lots of assistance? Of course, that would be great. But realistically, how often or how many of us can actually say that we have those available to us and people like that at our disposal? Very few. So work with what you've got. Don't overcomplicate it. Or if you start to try and overcomplicate things and you start to bring in too much, it becomes less about the photograph and more about the kit that you're using. And you want to reverse that way of thinking. It's all about the photo. Folks, I hope you found that useful. And I don't normally say this at the end of my videos. You know, everyone says like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't normally say them because I think, you know, I think we've all used the platform enough to be aware that that's what you do. But a lot of people will say it, so I'm not going to. And the reason I'm not going to is because I remember reading one of James Caan's book, not the actor, the entrepreneur, and there was a quote in that book that stuck with me, and it was a quote or something that his dad told him, and it was observe the masses and do the opposite. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Folks, take care, and I shall see you real soon.